All right, we're good. Okay. July 13th, meeting of the Community Relations Committee is called to order. This, of course, is the rescheduled meeting that was supposed to happen on the 7th, and we had technical difficulties. And Rebecca, would you make the roll call?
Sure. Sorry about any noise behind me. Okay, the list of people I have is President Jane Hamill.
Here.
I'm here. Margaret Kirstein.
Yes.
Mary Lou Blaine.
Here.
Alyssa O'Leary. I don't see.
Oh, she's waiting. Okay, here we go.
We'll let her in.
I'm letting her in.
And so they go out and they need a
Person is waiting. She is joining. There you go.
Alyssa, are you here?
She should be in. It says she's in.
Okay. Oh, connecting to audio.
Yeah.
All right. Emily Britton. Emily, are you here?
Oh my goodness.
I don't see her right off the bat. Patty Doherty, I think she couldn't be here, right? Patty?
No, Patty is out tonight.
And Deb Lusnia, I see you there. Thank you. Jan Norman?
No.
No.
No, he's not on the committee anymore.
Oh, he isn't. Okay. And Abby, we saw. Abby, you're there? Okay. So, all right. I hope Alyssa can hear us. I see you there connecting to audio. But let's see, that would be a quorum. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So
yeah. We're past that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's still trying to connect, but I think she'll be fine.
Okay.
She'll get in here. Do we have minutes from the last meeting to read?
I think that minutes were shared.
Yes, well, they went out.
And compiled. I had a beginning, but then was it Emily that prepared the rest?
I don't know.
But anyway, we did share. So does anyone on the committee, maybe we should.
I think I compiled those and I sent them out.
That's right.
Not a problem. If we don't have them for tonight, we can do it next time.
Okay.
Well, Oh, did you not receive them, Margaret?
I don't think I did. When did you send them out, Jane?
Last week.
You know what day? By any chance, like a day?
No, I don't. But I can dig those up.
I'll look, Jane. Sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. I can resend them.
And those would be the minutes for June 30th, since we
June 30th, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let me get
Okay,
to
so we want to table that for now then?
Yeah, let's table the minutes.
Okay.
And get back to the, do we need to go over online meeting procedures? We all know that anything we vote on has to be a roll call vote. That's pretty much the main concern. We have the quorum. Everything it is being recorded, so we're fine. And that brings us to, we're going to have our presentation by the mayor, Mayor Nicole LaChapelle, sorry. I'll get it right.
Good evening,
Yes.
and thank you for the time. For this meeting, given the very full agenda, I want to report out and clarify one thing about the work group, and hopefully that may or may not be addressed tonight in this meeting. However, what I wanted to get out is the work group, and the definition of it would be composed of AKIND and CRC members, and the charge is to build out a robust community outreach and engagement plan to review current EPD use of force policies. The work group would report out to the CRC and would be supported by my office for like scheduling and whatnot. I will post a link and solicit applications, or if people just, I mean, it'll be a message on the website saying if folks are interested in being a part of this work group, that they should email me at mayor@easthamptonma.gov and express interest. If you have interest but want to talk more with me, or maybe someone on the CRC or the AKIND group, then welcome to do that. But I'd like to put that, I would like to have the work group put together and named by the next CRC meeting. And with that, I cede the rest of my time.
Okay, thank you. That brings us to public speak. Now, I believe there's a little icon that if you want to speak, you raise your hand somehow, and then I click on it. So where's that? That would be...
People can unmute themselves.
Well, they could, but I don't want to cause any confusion.
Well, you could call, somebody could raise their hand.
I also can't see the whole, the screens are split up. There's so many people here. So what? There it is. All right.
I think if we look at participants, and even if the participants look at participants, there's an option, raise hand.
Yep. There you go. So the first hand raised is Carolyn Cushing. And let me find you, or you can there you go, and you can unmute yourself. Thank you. Go ahead.
Yes. There's a question part, a statement part, and I know you may not answer this question now, but as you're thinking about what your outreach review answered, my question is, is there criteria for the membership of the committee as a whole? Because the goal of the committee is to have positive relations throughout Easthampton's diverse population. And if that's so, the committee should reflect diversity of Easthampton. Each member, it cannot reflect the whole diversity, but as a whole, what is the selection, the recruitment process, so that the committee can reflect the population as a whole. And all members have a voice, all members in the community have a voice. So what are some of the mechanisms? I think you'll be talking to someone about this, but so that everyone can speak and be heard.
Okay. The mayor has her hand up. I think she wants to answer your question. Okay. And so let's do that.
So the members of the Community Relations Committee they apply. A member or an applicant needs to be a resident of Easthampton, and I encourage people to apply. The folks that comprise the committee right now are those who applied, and we have openings. It was difficult, very honestly, to get a full committee, and we barely maintained that committee, but there's an application process, and you just fill out an application and express your interest. It comes to the mayor's office. I give you a call, and we talk through just the vision and why you'd like to serve, and making sure that you know the time requirements. And if there's an opening, we go from there.
Okay. So Carolyn, are you still there?
Yes,
you can. Okay, so that was the first part. That was your question part. Did that answer your question?
I wove in there the statement of the committee. So I'm making a statement. The committee should reflect the diversity of Easthampton.
Well,
so that's I'm just making
in the sense that Easthampton is mostly white. Yes, we do.
I don't know if we're getting into discussion, but Easthampton
No,
is a
well,
changed community. I'll offer
would,
that.
yes, we've been trying to get this to be a more diverse group as a committee, and it's been very difficult.
Yeah.
So we're trying.
And I guess I would say not a critique to the committee, but maybe there's some of the work that needs to happen in Easthampton, this committee or beyond this committee, to bring diversity into our committees is what we're seeing that here.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah.
Margaret?
I have two things. One is that in community speak, are CRC members supposed to respond, or is this our turn to listen? So that's procedural. That's my first question before I make a comment, if I can make a comment.
Oh, you can. I think.
Okay, well, I was just going to say that prior, as far as I can recall, we've discussed the membership of this committee. There were, I believe, at least 2 other people on the committee, 2 men and maybe a 3rd man, who are now, so now we have basically an all-woman group. And there was 1 person of color. And so that was how we started out. And this is who we remain, with openings for definitely different people than white women on this group. Okay, whether it's young people, 20, 18, 90, person of color is priority. What can I say? That'd be great.
Okay. Well, instead of if you want to speak, okay, please use the link, the little icon. But I don't know if Carolyn is done.
I'm done.
You're done. Okay, thank you. Okay. The next one up is Pasqualina. You can, okay, there you go.
Hi, everybody. My name is Pasqualina Azzarello. I am the City Arts Coordinator in the City of Easthampton, so I work for the city. I am also a member of A Kneel Is Not Enough, and I am also an Easthampton resident. I'm speaking on behalf of my own self right now as a resident. I did sit in on the last meeting that this group had, and I just wanted to reflect back, share some things that came up for me. I am just someone who's very committed to this work, to justice, to working within the existing channels here in the city of Easthampton, to make this community better for everybody, to make our local government just a more just place. And I want to just call attention to 2 things. One is there is a sense of urgency right now around racial justice. There is a sense of urgency right now. There is a wave. There is a major sea change in our country, in our world, and in our city. And we are not in a vacuum. We live in the world. We have a responsibility to be with this. And I do feel that there is a tremendous responsibility in the CRC group, responsibility and opportunity. And there is this grassroots community group, A Kneel Is Not Enough, that cares so much for justice, that cares so much about making Easthampton better for all residents. And at the last meeting, there was this interesting parallel between a conversation among committee members about what are we doing, what do we want to put our attention toward, what do we want to focus on, and then a silenced group of community members. I know those are the policies of this group, that members of the public can only speak during public speak. I personally, as a civil servant, lead city committee meetings every month, and I have for the past almost 4 years now. And we have very different policies at ECA. We encourage participation. I welcome feedback. I explain to people that they can't vote. I explain all the rules. We work within open public meeting laws. But I want to encourage this group as it continues to form and to grow your legs underneath yourselves, that there is a tremendous value and opportunity from public participation, and that to close the door on that and to just, no one can ask a question. It's all sticking to an agenda and giving feedback. It is so valuable. Even when there's criticism, it is valuable. It's how we grow together. So I am just encouraging this group to really think about the choices you can make about your process. It's about how to engage community. And it really sends a message when community members can't contribute, especially as you're trying to find the way forward. There's a tremendous amount of talent, skill set, knowledge, experience in this grassroots community group that are all here, that keep showing up to city council meetings, to city committee meetings, and we want to work together. And there's an opportunity and the sense of urgency that I mentioned earlier to choose, to choose to do that now. So I just want to share that, and thank you.
Okay.
Jane, this is Peg Conniff. May I just interject really quickly? I apologize.
Certainly.
I just want to clarify public speak so that everyone truly understands it. Public speak is an opportunity for the public to come in and say anything. And typically under open meeting laws, because whatever you might be saying is not on the agenda, we can't really expound on it and talk about it. But to Pasqualina's point, you can put on the agenda a topic around community discussion around racism or something like that, where you could then invite the public to have an open dialogue around racism. But when you put public speak on the agenda, because it's not defined by anything, you may start talking about something that the public would have liked to have listened to, and they wouldn't have seen it on the agenda, so they're not here. And so they're going to miss out. And so that's why public speak is generally limited to you say it, the committee listens, and then you can put something on the agenda. And so I'm going to stop talking, and I know you guys have stuff to do, but I really wanted to clarify that you really cannot have a dialogue because of public speak back and forth with the committee. You just listen, and then you go through your agenda. But to Pasqualina's point, put it on the agenda to have a conversation with the public, and then you can go crazy.
Right.
Thank you.
Can I please add one quick note of clarification, and then I'm going to be quiet. I think I've exceeded my 2 minutes. Sure. So yes, I think there's public speak, and then there, like at ECA, we do invite and encourage feedback to the items on our agenda. Members of the committee, like, I'm not saying go off the agenda at all. I am really follow the rules. The mayor knows, a number of people on this group here know that I care about that a lot because I'm always worried about going off. So I think I'm specifically saying for agenda items, what should we be working on? What should we do? What's useful right now in community? Those were some of the topics of last week's conversation. And I just think there's so much value to just having members of the community, especially all of these people who care so much, who are here giving their time, an opportunity to just respond while sticking within the agenda. You know, this is about participatory civic engagement, and let's embrace this. This is good for all of us.
Yep. Okay. Thank you. Next up is Jason Montgomery. You can unmute yourself, please.
Hello,
Jason?
this is, yeah.
Oh, there you are.
Okay. This is Jason Montgomery from the Ania's Not Enough group. So I am a little, I kind of don't know what to say right now. We were invited into this meeting to present to the CRC, which I was under the impression was an independent committee of the city of Easthampton. And scrolling through this feed, I see over 10 members of the Easthampton Police Department here. I am concerned and a little disturbed on wondering why this is happening, why no one reached out to say that you guys would be in attendance. We're here to speak to the CRC, and I'm a little confused on what's happening, especially considering the fiasco last week when we were supposed to come here and present, to then turn and see I believe the chief's here and 10 other members of the police department. So what's going on? What is happening right now? And I'm seeking some clarification, because something about this, especially given our group's makeup, this doesn't feel okay to me.
All right, I'll try to answer that. Number one, you do have the 7 o'clock spot, and your group is going to present yourself to strictly the CRC. That happens at 7 o'clock. It's on the agenda. We're going to listen to you, and then we're going to have a back and forth of Q&A just between us and you. So that covers that. As far as anybody looking into this meeting, it's public. It's a public meeting. When we have our meetings at 50
All right,
Payson Avenue.
I'm going to stop you, Jane. I'm going to stop you. I think that our group needs to take a breath and have a conversation, because this is not answering my question. Like, this is not answering my question, saying that it's a public meeting, Well,
it
just
is.
now. So I'm going to cede my time.
I'm sorry that offends you.
No, that doesn't offend me, Jane.
Okay. So are you saying you want to cancel your spot at 7 o'clock?
I'm not saying anything.
Well,
I'm not saying that, and I thank you. Like, I don't understand where the combative tone is coming from. I'm asking a question. We're a BIPOC-led organization, grassroots organization, and I turn around. We walk into a meeting to present to what is supposed to be an independent body here in our city, and there's a full complement of police officers here. And your response to that is, you're on the agenda for this time. However, it's a public meeting. So
I don't understand.
You don't understand.
No, I don't understand. I don't understand what your problem is of people looking
you don't
in.
You don't understand how, as a grassroots organization who's here to speak to what is supposed to be an independent review board from the city, who is supposed to take up questions of bias and police oversight, invites us in, and then we walk in and there's 11 police officers plus the chief of police sitting here. You don't understand why that would make someone uncomfortable and have a question about what is going on here. You don't understand where I'm coming from in this particular moment. Imagine this was happening in the public sphere.
Listen, see, this is exactly what I didn't want to happen. That's why I don't like public speaking turning into forums. Can you speak? Yeah, go ahead.
You don't like the public to be able to relate to the community.
Margaret, I'm going to mute you. You've exceeded your time.
Jason, let me just say to you, Jane does not speak for this committee. That's first. Number two is all of the above is true. Having 10 officers, I was looking at all these names. I only know a few names in terms of police officers, and I totally get where you're coming from. I couldn't agree with you more. But when we were getting trained as well, there were 1 or 2 police officers that went through our training with us. So I see our affiliation with the police department as really significant, not as directors of us, but as colleagues, as peers. So just as I see you as a peer. And so
your job is to look over
excuse me, please don't interrupt.
Wait, we don't have a job. We don't have a particular job. This was about what was going on. We came out of what was happening at the high school and some DOJ and some study that was done and some community communications. And that's how we don't have a job. Our job is whatever we decide, or with the feedback. What Pascalina said, I thought was a brilliant idea. Of course we should do that. That's what we need in terms of opening up, from my perspective, to community dialogue at every meeting. But I hear what you're saying, Jason. The police are here, and it is a public meeting as well. So I might ask the mayor, why are do this many police officers attend other meetings, or is this particularly of interest to the police department because of what's going on in terms of the community?
I would actually answer, it's a public meeting and any member of the public can attend if something on an agenda or they just want to attend. And there's no member of the public to be excluded. The idea was to do a public presentation by this group, who I agree is very passionate, and I look forward to working with them to just present what their mission and goals and visions are, and to have a dialogue with the CRC. It's not mandatory, it's not the only dialogue, but that's all. And if there are 25 police officers on this call, or 50 or 1, they're members of the public, and many of them are residents. So for them to decide to sign in or sign out, these are the uncomfortable conversations that we have to have. This is the beginning. And I'm very worried that it is 6:30 and I want to hear this presentation.
I'd love to be able to say something, but
Jason, I'm going to call you out of order, Jason, and ask for you to be muted. This is not a conversation. It's public speak. And I would ask Jane to follow the agenda. The members of the public are allowed to attend.
Okay, so we have 3 other people who would like to speak. And I am going to strictly limit you to 2 minutes because we would like to get our own committee business done before 7 o'clock. Louise Jacob.
Okay. Originally, I was hoping to speak because I agree with Pascalina, but she's made the case very well. I'm going to ask a question because I'm also, this is not an official Keene thing. I'm not part of the presentation, but I'm here as a member, as I think you know, Jen, because I've been to 2 meetings now.
Yep.
2
You're a member of the community.
I'm that too. I would very much like, it's a rather intimidating show of interest from the police. And I would like to know, as a community member, are they on their own time? Are they being paid for coming here? And I almost don't dare ask, are they on overtime to attend this meeting? I mean, they presented their EPD numbers, to define themselves. Anyway, I'll ask that question. I think a lot of us would like to know that.
I can't answer that. Is there anyone here who could answer that?
I don't think we need to answer that right now.
No, we don't need to answer that right now. Okay. But that's a concern. Okay. Thank you. Liz Perry?
Hi, I'm Liz Perry. I live in Easthampton. I wasn't planning on speaking, but I felt compelled to. First of all, I'd like to say I agree with what Pascalina said 100%. Second of all, what struck me to inspire me to speak was when Caroline was asking about what the qualifications were for joining this group. And it was mentioned that Easthampton's mostly white. That's not an excuse. It's up to this, I feel like this group's responsibility to do the work to diversify yourself. And I also like to say that I don't really agree with the way that Jason was treated after bringing up a very good point. Thank you.
One more. Okay. Well, we did have someone. Oh, Myra. Are you still here?
I'm still here.
Yeah, Myra,
good evening, everyone. Thank you. Oh, am I muted? Can you hear me?
No, we hear you. Your video is not on.
Does it need to be on?
No, not if you don't want to.
Okay. Thank you. I was going to reiterate, first of all, I am an Easthampton resident. I'm a member of A Knee Is Not Enough, and I wanted to speak, well, I actually do reflect and agree with some of the points that were mentioned by other members. And then I just wanted to say to Margaret, you do have a job. There are defined duties and there are defined roles, which we saw from your first presentation, in which the mayor told us how this committee came to be. So there are defined roles. Perhaps you haven't achieved them yet, but you do have actionable steps and actual accountability to what your role is supposed to be in this committee. Maybe it hasn't achieved its mission in the seeking direction, but this is a particularly important committee, which I do hope finds itself and finds its voices, seeks diversity, and I am completely uncomfortable with having people, the police officers name themselves by letters and numbers. I do not feel that this is a safe space. You've invited us here. Are you here in your official capacity as police officers? Can I identify you by EPD? Letter. I don't feel that this is a safe space.
Okay, thank you. All right, we're concluding the public speak part, and we'll get into the boring parts now. And this is now our committee business. And the first thing up is what we were trying to do last time. This is part of our ongoing effort to be more, get the community more aware of us. So we're talking about a logo. Who wants to pick that up? Deb? Yeah.
I'd be happy to. So, as you all know, we asked for some help from a graphic designer to help us come up with a logo based on a vision that we had for a campaign that we wanted to launch in the interest of helping to support and create positive community relations and a city of great neighbors. And so we came up with a slogan, and we were, as a starting point, looking to have tools to identify ourselves as we begin the journey of some type of campaign, and that would likely involve many different facets. So Elizabeth Green graciously put together some possible logo ideas for us that we could use going forward. And we sent that to everybody in the committee as an FYI, so they had it in advance to look at. And so our hope was to talk about those different options and see if there's one that we would agree that we like and that we'd like to proceed with, and so that we can use that as we identify ourselves going forward. And hopefully the community would have an easier time of recognizing us as well as in the work we do going forward. So to start off, I just wanted to mention that Patty Dougherty commented that one set of the logos that she provided are a little bit similar in concept to Easthampton Neighbors, which is a separate group. And while we certainly hope to work with them down the road and support them in their efforts down the road and work together, it might be best if we didn't have a logo that was kind of similar so that it's not confusing to people. So I'll start off by suggesting that maybe we don't seriously look at and consider those options for that reason. And before I babble on any further and tell you my thoughts, I'd just ask the committee if you had thoughts on particular likes or dislikes or suggestions of what the other options that exist.
I have a question, which is it the naming that seems similar, or the logo that I like, or the choices that I liked are the ones that show like the mill building in the back and the building, the roof in the front. I really like those.
So those are the ones that had the buildings that we were thinking were very similar to the,
okay.
Yeah, to the Easthampton Neighbors group, because they also have buildings as their logo.
All right.
Not the mill build, the one that has the mill building and also Community Relations Committee in bold letters on the side changes the dynamic of, and then the neighbor part is, the hashtag neighbor is small. So I think that one we could use and it wouldn't be confusing. It clearly says Community Relations Committee.
I think if we keep the concept of including both residential and commercial buildings, but just vary the style, it will be less similar to the Easthampton Neighbors group. To take that back to the graphic design.
I was also going to suggest for consideration the logo that has the circle, Community Relations Committee, that the circle with the Easthampton Great Neighbors to the right of it. I thought that was eye-catching, and a circle would work well for like a Facebook profile. It could work well for identifying us in a variety of ways. Using that shape, I just thought, and the symbol of unity and the circle was appealing to me. So anyway, I thought it's kind of commanding in terms of attention and would have a lot of good applications. It's easy to see, it's simple going forward.
So I definitely like the circle one too, for the same reasons that it's eye-catching. My thought is to make it a little bit different from the Great Neighbors campaign is instead of using our buildings, what about the outline of the mountain? To make it a little bit different, but it's still such a great landmark in town. So that was just my thoughts, but I definitely, so either way.
Well, if we can always ask Elizabeth, you know, since when we have a chance to, after discussing this, if we feel like we'd like her to maybe give us some other choices, we can certainly go back to her and ask her. She might be willing to do that.
Yeah, I think that would be good given everyone's comments. I also wanted to ask the committee if it's important to have any indication that this is a city committee, especially given the discussion we had earlier about whether we're independent or not.
So I'm hoping specifically on the Facebook page, I'm not sure if on the logo we can determine that. I don't know the graphics of that, but on the Facebook page, I've been trying to reach out to someone. I know this kind of goes into our next agenda item, Jane, so I'm sorry, but I've been trying to reach out to someone from the city. I haven't connected yet, but I think on the Facebook page, we'll be able to differentiate that it is a city group. So
Right.
Mary Lou?
I like Abby's idea of trying to maybe make the buildings a little bit different. And the issue of hashtag Great Neighbors, are people going to think that's an account somewhere? I don't know if that would confuse them. I know we had discussed this before, but the whole hashtag, is that something, because it's not really leading to us on any platform. Should we stop the stop the hashtag and maybe just put Great Neighbors, Easthampton Great Neighbors instead? Just a thought.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Mary Lou. I think it's it could be confusing. Yeah.
Mary Lou, I'm confused. What's confusing about the hashtag thing?
Well, I don't know if people would think it's on a social media that they're going to find us on a Twitter account or somewhere.
Usually a hashtag is actually linked to Twitter or to Instagram. So unless we're actually thinking of creating an actual site that people can link to, I agree. It's confusing.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we certainly can link it to something if we want to go that direction. I don't know. I guess it's something to think about, to talk about. But that
there would be ownership. I mean, we could never control the ownership of that. There would be so many. I mean, if you just put it in right now, it comes up with lots and lots of things. Lots and lots of posts. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think we were just looking at it as a catchy way to a catchy slogan for us that, was kind of
And I like using, especially if we're going to have the Facebook page. That's a great starting point. Eventually, maybe we'll be on Instagram or Twitter. However, we can connect to people in so many different platforms. So I think if we can have a hashtag, and it doesn't have to be hashtag Great Neighbors, but I think from a social media standpoint, if then when we create a post that says maybe there's a community outreach somewhere, we can do hashtag Great Neighbors, and then people can start, just because right now we're obviously not out there. So if you pull up hashtag Great Neighbors, we're not there. But over time, the hope would be that then people could link us to other community events. So I do like the hashtag. I'm in favor of keeping it, whether it is hashtag Great Neighbors, hashtag CRC Great Neighbor, something. That's just my thoughts on that.
Yeah, I like it too. I think it's a catchy slogan, and but I think we could do a lot with it for promotion going forward.
Okay. All right. So
can I ask one more question, Shane?
Yeah.
So I just want to clarify. So people in general seem to like the concept of the city building images as opposed to going with like the circle and the other logo that we were discussing. Is that right?
For me, yes.
Okay. The one other thing I just wanted to share about the city logo buildings thing is that just from past experience, I know that if you have something that's really kind of very detailed for a logo, it kind of sometimes is very limiting in how effectively you can reproduce it in different applications. For example, t-shirts or anything that's small, it can be challenging. So I don't know, I was kind of personally tending more toward the circle because it's makes a statement, it's bold, it gives us an icon that we can use for Facebook in that round medium. It also would work well, like if you wanted to have something that's like a magnet on the back of a car, or you wanted to have, like the applications would be, it'd be easier for a lot of different applications to have like a bold circular identity like that, in my opinion, as opposed to the more detailed building type of logo. So my marketing mind tells me like goes to the circle with the simpler approach. So I just wanted to make a case for that. But if you all feel like you would like to go down the road of the building options and make it seemingly more different than the Easthampton Neighbors Group, or pursue something with the outline of the mountain, we can certainly do that. So I just want to put in one more plug for the circular option.
I agree. I like the circle. And I also like Alyssa's idea of the mountain. Can you fit the outline of the mountain in the circle with the wording? Is that possible?
Probably not with the wording too.
Not with the wording too. Okay, so there's those restrictions. So I think this needs a little more, just, some more drawings on the board.
Okay. So when it comes to, let me just for clarification, you all expressed interest in the building option too. Like what particularly did you feel should be different about I guess I kind of missed, I think someone said something about wishing that the building logo options were a little different in what way?
Yeah, Mary Lou?
I think Abby thought that and I'm looking at it now, the idea of maybe doing something a little different with the housing roofs, to make it not be that same look as the, the Easthampton Neighbors. If there was a way to make the outline of the houses different. That was my understanding from Abby.
Yeah, it just looks very similar to the Easthampton Neighbors.
Yeah, and I don't know if there's something that can be done to make the roof line a little different. The other thing is, I think I particularly like the one that has the community relations committee right next to the building.
Yes, me too.
As opposed to like monkeying around with any of the other ones. So maybe narrowing it down for her.
Okay.
To that one. I don't know if anybody else likes any of the other ones or would like those tweaked. But for me, it would be that one, just to kind of see if there's something that she can do and come back, and then maybe we can, I mean, if it's between those two, we can make a decision on one or the other, as opposed to looking at all the other ones or trying to tweak any of the other ones. Just my thought.
Okay, narrow it down. All right.
Margaret, you had your hand up?
Deb, also the circle, one of my biggest issues with the circle is, of all the words, the Community Relations Committee is the third smallest.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it says about Easthampton, hashtag great neighbors. That to me is, I personally have no, that doesn't grab me at all. You have to really look long and hard to see Community Relations Committee in this circle.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can figure out, or your friend can figure out a circle for me, I mean, I won't vote for that. I think it says Easthampton something. So I don't find it catchy at all.
Okay. Okay, well, I think part of that too, just to speak to that for a minute, is the fact that we haven't created a Great Neighbors campaign yet. We haven't created and done any proactive programming on this Great Neighbors message. So to me, in the future, that's the focus. The focus should be on those programming, those events, those messages that we want to get out there, and the work we want to do promoting great community relations more than who we are. You know, I think who we are is a little bit secondary to the message and a little bit secondary to the goal of creating great neighbors, creating a unified city. I'm not articulating this very well, but do you know what I mean at all? Like, we haven't created it. We don't have a Great Neighbors campaign yet. We haven't done any of that yet. So I wanted it to be about the message and not so much about who we are. You know, it's about the message, and we're behind the message. But
I hear you, but I also don't know that Easthampton Community of Great Neighbors is the thrust of our committee and the only way. I mean, I think if nothing else, then the group that's here with us is letting us know that Great Neighbors is great, but that's really the icing on top of the cake, and we have to be baking a cake first. Yeah. So, you know, I don't know that that's going to be the thrust, or it sounds awfully cheerful compared to how serious trouble we're in. So that's all. I hear what you're saying. Yeah. It's a very uplifting kind of thing, and it's lovely. But it may not really be speaking to what's needed now. And as CRC is kind of giving birth to itself with the help of community, I think that we don't know exactly what the thrust is.
Right. Well, that's true, because this was our goal. This was our vision months ago. And so
February.
I totally get that. Okay. Yeah.
A couple good ideas, at least now, Deb, that maybe you could take them back and maybe create a couple new things to bring.
Yep. Okay. Yep. Yeah, I hear you. Okay. So in summary, I'll ask for a variation of the building logo, just that third one down, Community Relations Committee beside it. I'll ask for a possible option that might include an outline of the mountain, and see if there's something that she could provide that would work going that direction. And I guess I'll leave a circular ideas on the table as well. Maybe that'll be tweaked somewhat.
Okay. My only, if I could just 2 cents on this one, I do think the most important thing is to have is the awareness that we are a committee. So I think the most important visual aspect should be Community Relations Committee. And the neighbors thing, I feel, is already covered by that. There's another neighbors group. But I will go along, you know, that's just my feeling on it, that it is important for us that who we are is the most important thing, not the neighborly thing. That'll come later. But, you know, none of us are coming up with designs. We put this on your lap, and we appreciate, you know, you going with it. So I will go along with whatever everybody wants.
And I just want to be mindful of the time, because I think the next topic is really important. We need to.
Yeah, what time? Okay. Oh, we're really running out of time here.
So it's scheduling a public forum, which I just think it's really important, just kind of going off of the events that happened during public speak. We want, you know, I want the public, whoever's listening, to know this is our desire. Our desire is to have everybody in Easthampton from all walks of life to come and share what's going on and what's important to them. That is our ultimate goal with this committee. So we've talked about doing a forum since the beginning, and I think, you know, now, unfortunately, it's just a need now, where before we had some time to kind of figure it out, and now it's a need. So I just want us as a group the next couple minutes to kind of put our heads together and think how we can make this need happen.
I think it's going to take more than 10 minutes to put that together. But instead of the whole committee trying to put that together, I think that can be a subcommittee if anyone wants to take the lead on that. I did have a call from Pasqualina today. Very good talk. You know, we had a good call on just this subject of establishing the forum so that, you know, it can be a back and forth instead of, you know, what, as Peg clarified earlier, public speak is not the forum. So in creating this forum, that gives these people, or gives everyone, a chance to pipe in. I mean, it can get rowdy, and that's the problem I see with that type of forum. But anyone want to take the lead on that? Or do you have any suggestions on how we can make this happen? Or we've kind of had a few days to think about it. You knew it was coming up. Any thoughts? Maybe it's a subject. I will go back to the mayor and see how we set up something like that. Mary Lou, thank you.
Perhaps what we should start with is the community dialogue that Pasqualina talked about.
Well, that would be a forum.
Merely, when I think of a forum, I think of it more as a presentation by someone with questions and answers, and maybe my idea of a forum isn't what everybody else is thinking, or a presentation on a subject that we feel is important. I think at this point we need people to be able to speak their minds. We need people who will listen. And I think that we shouldn't put it off. I think our next meeting should be a community a dialogue on the issue of racism and in Easthampton. I personally have to say that I have not had a lot of experience with racism in Easthampton. I'm just not in that. I don't work in Easthampton. My circles don't necessarily embrace a lot of people of color, and I wish it would. So I feel like I have a lot to learn, and I need to listen, because a lot of the things that are going on in Easthampton, I personally am not aware of, and I really feel awful about that. And I felt awful when I heard that a neighbor's 8-year-old nephew was being harassed, and this was a couple years ago. I live within the treehouse community in one of the homes. So I do see people of color. I talk to people of color, but I don't I'm not close enough for them to say, and I really think it's important to listen, and I think that could be a really good first step, is to have people talk to us and let us know what their situation is, because I don't know, and so I don't want to work in a vacuum anymore. So anyway, that's just my 2 cents.
And I think that's great. I love how you talked about a dialogue. I think that's really important. And how I always envisioned this group is, literally have us all lined up in a chair and have, one community member at a time come up and talk about their feelings or whatever they feel is going on. And I guess I don't know how to make that vision a reality. Like, how do I get from that thought of the dialogue and everyone listening so we can all understand too, because we all come from different walks. How do we then get to the next step? I don't know.
I would just quickly like to just say that this might be a good time to reconnect with Brian Corr, who we met with and did some important training with. I think he could be very helpful to us in thinking how to make use of a dialogue, and I do like that term better, community dialogue or town hall, because I think some of us have skills in facilitating some of those types of events and others don't, and I think it's really important to consider partnering or bridging with other groups and community liaisons to make this effective, because it can be ineffective if not done right.
You don't want to elaborate?
I'm elaborating to say that I think we should connect with Brian Corr, who has expertise in dialoguing with around race relations and community engagement. So I think we want to make sure that we're equipped to do that effectively and to partner with people in our community to help them to feel that this is a worthwhile and meaningful experience.
I agree. I've been trying to get him back, but I got shut down on that last time. Yes, Margaret.
But it seems to me that arranging a special thing I totally agree with you, Abby. I think he would be a very, very helpful. He would be very helpful. It would be great if for our next meeting he could be one of the faces here and even facilitate the dialogue. That would be fabulous. I don't know if he's available in August, but I think that we have to have the community dialogue sooner than later, and also that I agree with you, we really need somebody to facilitate it, whether it's one of us on the committee or somebody, one of us on the committee to facilitate it who has the skill set.
Can I just ask for clarification? I obviously wasn't part of the committee from the beginning. Who is Brian? What organization is he with?
Oh, I don't know what his current designation is, but he was one of the founders of the Cambridge Community Relations Group. And he gave us our first training session and walked us through how they became established, how long it took them, and just just what this committee means and how far they've gotten, and they've become quite effective over there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to just share his title and the bio that we were given when he came. He's the current president of the National Association for Civilian Oversight of Law Enforcement, a nonprofit organization that works to enhance fair and professional law enforcement responsive to community needs, increase accountability and transparency in policing, and build community trust through civilian oversight.
Right. Yes, Mayor?
Hi. I would just, and this should have been said at the beginning of the meeting, and I should have said it during my mayor message. So because this is a public meeting, people should have their names on their accounts. So like Deb and there are a couple of like the, a couple of folks like to change it.
How do you do that? Wait a minute,
You go into
on this.
participants and then you touch the name. So
you right click on your name. It should,
okay.
you should have an
Yeah,
option.
got it. I see it.
yeah, so that's the case for all meetings. Just
yeah, I didn't catch that. Thank you.
No, I should have said something. So if folks could change that over across the board, that would be great. I know. Thank you. I know we're running late, so I'm gonna mute myself.
Alyssa, if you don't mind, I'm going to table the update on the Facebook page, and we'll take that up next time. And then there was one last addition to the agenda that I think we can do really quick. I realized that these last couple of meetings were impromptu. They came out of left field, especially tonight because we had the glitch last week. So is everybody in agreement to go back to our second Tuesday schedule? Does that work for everyone? I see hands. Okay, I don't think we have to vote on it. I will just note that in. So our next meeting, so that we don't forget to say it publicly, will be the second Tuesday of August at 6 p.m.
Jane, before we move on totally,
yeah,
can I just suggest that maybe one of us could try to get in touch with Brian and see about his availability to get the ball rolling, get something set up?
Yes, I think the mayor is primed to do that because we've talked about it the last few weeks.
Okay, so that's gonna happen.
So we will get him here as soon as possible, maybe even for the August meeting.
Okay.
So in that case, I don't want to take any more time from the Akine group. I'm not going to limit anyone. You guys, there's quite a few of you here. You can select who's going to speak, and all we're here to do at this first part is listen to you, and you have as much time as we can afford you. And then when you're ready to let us ask questions, we'll take your cues. So whoever's going to start your group presentation off, please do.
Hey, Jane, it's Kay Collins. We're going to wait for our representative to unmute, but I just wanted to point out that for their own comfort levels, they are waiting until everybody actually has a first and last name on the chat. We're just keeping an eye on that right now. There's somebody that's labeled just as DG. Most people have changed it. Thank you very much. You know, you're here as residents. So we just want to make sure that we know everybody's name, and we appreciate that. There's somebody still listed just as Easthampton resident. Somebody listed as current resident. They changed their name to current resident from an EPD number. And our presenter is calling in from a phone number because that's the only access that they have, and that's the reason their name is not actually listed.
Okay, well, I don't have control over that, so.
Oh, I'm aware. We're not trying to delay the speech for any frivolous reason. We just want to make sure that the people that are actually speaking feel comfortable doing so. And we appreciate your patience with that. So if you'll bear with me for just a moment, I'm going to check back in with them and see if we're ready to go. So I appreciate everybody's patience with that. I'm going to mute myself for just a sec so I can check in with them. Again, I appreciate your patience with that. Jane, can you unmute The phone number, let me just make sure I know which one.
Where is that? Where do I find that?
There's 2 phone numbers that should show up at the end of the chat. And we're looking for the one with the last 2 digits of 76.
Oh, okay. With the 76, okay.
Yeah, okay, you're good. I see it. Okay, perfect.
What about the other one? We don't know who that is?
No, I'm not sure about that one, but can you, we emailed you, I emailed you the presentation at the beginning. Are you able to share your screen?
Okay, no, I'm not.
Access that?
I could pull up another computer.
Okay, thank you.
I'm just, I'll catch it later. I'll just listen.
Okay, we were just hoping you'd be able to share it so that everybody else could see it as well.
Oh. Can you share your screen? No, don't do that. Don't do that.
I was just going to say, I'm not sure.
No, don't do that. Let's see, where did you?
To your Gmail, because that's the one I had. The mayor's got a copy of it as well. I don't know if that would help.
Jane, if you want to send it to me, Peg, I have the ability to share my screen.
Thank you, Peg. I can send it to you right now as well. I can forward it to you.
Okay.
Bear with me one sec. It's a link at the bottom of the email, so I'm going to forward that to you right now.
Can you hear me at all?
Yes.
So you can hear me, okay.
Peg, I just sent it to you.
Okay, just let me know when everybody has it, and then we can start.
Nellie, you're all set to go.
Do you guys have the presentation?
Yes, it just came up. Do you see it? I'm able to see it on my screen.
Okay, awesome.
Do you want to let us know when you need a slide to move forward, or is it just the logo?
I'll just, so it should be able, you should be able to click on it and the slide should go to the next slide. But as I read it, I will just say, go to the next slide. Just basically, you're going to be following along.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you, Peg, for helping.
Hello, everybody. My name is Natalie Gomez, and I am one of the BIPOC caucuses of AKINE, and we are going to discuss some of the things that we would like to change in our community. Even though Easthampton is a predominantly white town, there has been a surge in young brown families that have come here, and I want to recognize that, and I want people to understand that even though our city council is predominantly white, actually I think everybody is white, we need to start reflecting our community better. Our community has changed a lot, but I'm going to move forward to the second slide where I'm explaining what Anil is not enough about is about. This is an Easthampton-based grassroots community group which formed shortly after the citywide Easthampton Meals event in recognition that symbolic gesture has taken a knee is not enough to achieve anti-bias, anti-racist transformations within public service sectors in Easthampton. AKINE is BIPOC caucus-led group, which is a platform for genuine dialogue and collectively amplifies voices of concerned and frustrated residents that seek tangible change, transparency, accountability, and community engagement from elected officials and public servants, in keeping with the mayoral pledge in its entirety. AKINE is
Natalie, I'm sorry to cut you off. It's just, Peg, the screen is not on the presentation.
Are you unable to open it?
It was open. Peg, you would just have to go into presentation mode. I'm sorry, Natalie. I just wanted to make sure
No, it's okay.
everyone
It's okay.
could follow along. Council President Coniff, is it?
I'm working on, sorry guys, I didn't realize I was not on mute, or that I was on mute. It went away, I'm getting it back. Sorry about that.
Thank you, Council President.
It's not, there we go. Sorry.
Let me know whenever you guys are ready.
Natalie, I'm seeing it, it's up, so I would say go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, no worries. ACAIN is currently engaging in multi-pronged campaign to affect change and achieve the anti-racist, anti-bias values through participation in existing municipal engagement formats and creating new spaces for additional dialogue and collaboration, petitioning, and public protest. As you've seen, we are on slide 3, where it says steps for dismantling, plans for change.
Are you kidding me? Wait, I'm sorry, guys. This is really problematic. There we go.
Are we having the community relations meeting again tomorrow? Is it
Can you guys see my screen now?
Yes.
I'm sorry, can you all see my screen now?
Now we can see it.
Looks like slide 3.
Is there a CRC meeting tomorrow?
Let me unmute. No, there is not. Our next meeting will be the second Tuesday of August.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so would you like me to continue?
Yes, please.
Okay, so we are on the 4th slide. 01027, and is not enough. Current actionable demands and long-term goals include transparency and accountability, reform and refine, and reallocate funding. We are now on slide 5. Where are the reallocation funds going? We're going to use the funds for public service that directly serve the community, such as peer support for community members, increasing mental health facilities, creation of community programs. We are trying to start providing funds for the beginning processes of having a 211 availability in our town. It will be meant to provide a non-emergency service, such as a human, social, or health organizations that can assist on an on-call basis. Do you guys have any questions about that? Anyone? Okay.
No, I have a question. I definitely have a question. Okay, so this is to have social services, basically, human social service and health organizations respond to emergencies that often police go to, but this would be 211 on another level, having social service people, correct?
Yes, and this is Jason Montgomery. Would you like me to speak to this? Sorry, Natalie. Yeah, so again, this is Jason Montgomery. We should be a little more specific in saying, 211 or other 3 numerical code dispatch center. I ran the 211 in Santa Barbara County for numerous years, and it was a warm line, local based 211. I do understand that there is a mass 211 currently in operation. The idea behind a warm line local based 211 is that it can provide more direct initial case management services and initial intake services or other community based resources. So calling it a 211 is just a shorthand for the idea of a warm line based dispatch service. So does that answer the question?
Yes, that helps a lot. Thank you.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you, Jason. I appreciate that. Anybody else have any questions? Because I want to be very clear about what we're talking about. I don't want people to feel lost as I just ramble on. Okay. So first up,
I have a question.
Go on.
Sorry, I'm just wanting to understand, you talk about reallocations of funds. What funds specifically are you referring to, reallocating? What funds specifically?
Police funds, to be honest. Police budget is what I'm thinking.
So is there a specific portion of the police budget that you're talking about, or is there any more specific information on that?
We haven't actually been able to. Go on.
Oh, nothing. I was going to say we're currently in the process of a budget analysis with a partner from the ACLU to identify specific line iterms in the as you know, the City Council newly approved the budget, I think no more than a week ago, or a little over 2 weeks ago, if I excuse my time, it all melts together in quarantine. After that analysis is done, we'll be able to provide a more adequate representation of which funds we'd like to actually look at. Further, we proposed in our initial demands that a 3-year analysis of police calls would be completed in order to determine to what level social services or human resources would actually be needed. So we really can't, although we can look at the budget right now without that analysis, in-depth analysis, we can't really say, well, we're going to remove this, 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 and this. So we're hoping that the police in the city is willing to partner on it and not just wait for a university to provide them that information.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Okay, so we are on slide 6. Immediate demands for Easthampton Police Department. We're looking at reallocation, which will consist of more training and yearly reviews, removing all resource officers from schools and replaced with counselors, and militarization of police officers, which will consist of removal of any high-powered weapons, riot gear, or any lethal weapons, as well as an immediate ban on chokeholds and no-knock warrants. Having a community board, which the CRC is supposed to reflect, overseeing the disciplinary action for the officers in the community, removing qualified immunity for the police officers who face disciplinary action. Now, we also know that this is not, there is going to be, this is going to be a long process, and we understand that. But there's certain things that you guys do control, that you guys can change now. So I'm just saying that. Does anybody else have any questions? Do you want me to keep going? Okay.
I didn't.
Slide 7. I'm sorry?
That's okay.
Okay, so slide 7. Demands for the police department. Yearly de-escalation trainings that are reviewed by the CRC and the City Council. Attend trainings regarding anti-racist criminology, which discusses methods that intentionally de-racialize criminal behavior. Removal of all the school resource officers in Easthampton. To not reestablish police officers, meaning not rehiring police officers with prior complaints or incidents in our town or elsewhere, and extend background checks on all officers. Implement standardized disciplinary action for all Easthampton Police Department officers who have complaints made against them, which will then be reviewed by the Community Review Board. Any questions? No? Slide number 8. Where does this leave our community? With reallocated funds, we could provide so much more for our community. Having things available like recreation services, mental health facilities and services, teen community centers, skate parks, all available locally. Easthampton is an up-and-coming place, and we have to set a precedent that our BIPOC and LGBTQ residents are heard. By reforming our school curriculum and teaching the children of our community the truth of BIPOC people accurately in history will discourage ignorance. Slide 9. Curriculum reform. Having curriculum that discusses and recognizes systemic oppression and the efforts on people of color. Having discussion panels available for anti-racist conversations and dialogue for both parents and students in a safe place. Demand the expansion of the curriculum with articles, books, documentaries, as well as podcasts and educational streaming services geared towards racial justice and Black history. There's a quote, "We need to have discussions that critically challenge how we frame our nation's history." Slide 10. Facts about suspension and exclusionary school discipline policies and youth incarceration with SRO's involvement. BIPOC students are 4 times more likely to get suspended than their white peers. BIPOC girls are 10 times more likely than white girls to get disciplinary action. BIPOC children with disabilities are disproportionately suspended. 1 in 4 boys and nearly 1 in 5 girls, BIPOC children with disabilities, receive an out-of-school suspension. In Massachusetts today, BIPOC youth are 3 times more likely to be arrested than white youth, and they're 6 times more likely to be detained than the white youth in our community. Last slide, slide 11. Removal of the resource officers. Truth is, there's no evidence that proves that school resource officers stop any school shootings or any emergency situation. However, there are many incidents and mounting body of evidence that shows that SROs are associated with students feeling less safe, students being violently thrown, punched, pushed, handcuffed, and tased. Students are being arrested for disciplinary issues that used to be handled in school with trained counselors and begin their criminal record as early as 7 years old, which then begins an involvement of CPS system for low-income and BIPOC children. I am going to say this. Easthampton has a lot of work to do. I am a mother. I have 2 children in Easthampton schools. And I don't see at any point, I don't think I've ever spoken to any adult or child that ever felt comfortable having a police officer roaming the halls in elementary schools. I don't understand why that's even a thing, but I do want to have that discussion because I feel like to start, removing officers will be a good start on many things, but I feel like there's a lot of lack of transparency. I think that there's a lot of, well, once the Senate passes this bill, then we'll deal with it, and I don't think we should be doing that at all. Anybody? Okay.
Can I just take 2 seconds to say that, Omar, we know that you are also on the city council, so we acknowledge you and thank you for your work. We apologize for that one.
I would like to echo what Natalie said about waiting for the State House to handle this. I currently am an organizer for a local organization called Massachusetts Jobs with Justice. We've been working to support the work of AKIND, but I will say before I worked for Massachusetts Jobs with Justice, I worked for State Representative Lindsay Sabadosa in the State House. And I have firsthand experience with the legislative process in the state of Massachusetts. And I will say that there is a pattern of watering down progressive legislation. There's a pattern of blocking progressive legislation through backdoor means by the Speaker of the House. There is a pattern of forcing progressive amendments from being removed from legislation. And we saw it with S-2800, which is the police reform bill that's currently being debated by the Senate. It was pushed off multiple times by multiple senators. And I will say that waiting for the state of Massachusetts to enact a progressive police reform bill, which frankly, in my opinion, progressive and police reform do not make sense in the same sentence, but for the sake of getting my point across, a progressive police reform bill is foolish, because in the state of Massachusetts, we will never pass a truly progressive bill. It will always be watered down. It will always be kicked down the road. It will always be pushed off. I would love to see Easthampton, I'm a resident of Easthampton, I would love to see Easthampton be ahead of the curve, be an example for communities around us, be an example for our legislators in the State House. We cannot wait for whatever iteration of this police reform bill to be voted on in the House. Thank you.
Hello, and this is Jason Montgomery again from the A-Kind group. You know, just to echo what my colleagues have said and to go on one step further, what we're discussing is systemic change. And although there is the idea that, you know, when we look around Easthampton, we say we're doing the best job possible. We say that we, you know, are providing the highest quality law enforcement service that we can, that is free of bias, free of et cetera, et cetera. On the individual level, on the macro or on the micro level, that might be very true, but the system that's in place allows for bias and racism to come in and take hold. It's only what we have right now is only as good as the individuals who are out there manning it. And what we're asking for as a group is for our community to really do the systemic change that's necessary to ensure that whoever is there and whoever is serving in that capacity in our community can operate in a system that holds all people to the same standards, regardless of their race, ethnicity, culture, or sexual background, et cetera, et cetera. So when you guys were talking about, you know, bringing in an individual to help you with bias and racism, you know, we started this meeting off in a very uncomfortable place. You know, we started this meeting off in a place of where, you know, there was this odd showing of unlabeled police officers. I myself, I am Chicano American. I am of Native American ancestry. The intimidation factor of that, it's incredible. And the system that we have in place allows for it. And the system that we have in place allows the worst actors in our community, and I'm not accusing anyone in this group of being one of those people, but to take power and to use that power against the people of color who are part of our community. So what we're asking for and what we're seeking as a group is to ensure that the system that is in place benefits us all. So that's all I'll have to say. Thank you.
Hey, this is Myra. Hello. Oh.
Hey, Myra. No, that's okay. Go right ahead.
Okay. I just had a few thoughts, and I just wanted to let this organization, as well as the residents that are in attendance, know that the our initial demands were initial, and they'll be evolving as we become more informed. Our first ask was for transparency and accountability, and I do believe a number of policies have been posted, and have also been they've also been revised, updated. So we do acknowledge that we've received more information, and as a result of that information gathering, therefore our demands will reflect that. And I think in all meetings that I've ever spoken at this meeting, City Council, I've always spoken to having the value of residents' voices being heard, not just heard, but acted upon and seen in an official role, that there's value in community input, there's value in diverse voices. And from the information that I've gathered, some people believe that there's no place for a seat at the table in terms of discussions about institutions, in terms of public service. So I would disagree in saying, in that notion of hearing that it was spoken that there is no seat at the table. I believe the chair should be let out, the table should be set, and all voices should be heard. And I'm looking forward to working in collaboration. I am a new Easthampton resident. I don't particularly know all the political structures, the running of city council and all of its means, but I'm certainly here to lend my voice, and I hope it'll be appreciated. I hope the voices of any and not is not enough members will be appreciated for stepping out into spaces that don't particularly feel comfortable. And I hope that is appreciated. And that's all I can particularly, oh no. And in terms of, in one meeting, I was given some advice about a message of being reactionary. And unfortunately, we do need to be reactionary, but I hope that our city and structures of government will not be reactionary. I hope they do not wait for the state to pass legislation when there are roles for us to be proactive, for us to have residents at the center of debates, at the center of what needs to be done, not waiting for legislation to pass. Because that seems like stalling. That seems like being reactionary. That seems like not taking on the authority and the powers that you have to affect change. And that's all I'll say.
And
thank you.
Just to say, go ahead.
Thank you so much. Kay Collins, I think a lot of you know that I was part of the, I am still part of the Easthampton Community Coalition as well. And I just want to take a second to speak to urgency. So there was about a period of a year when we were working on getting some ordinance language passed in Easthampton out of the 2.5-year debate where the city was speaking to the legislation, the Safe Communities legislation on the state level, and relying on that to put a mechanism in place to protect undocumented people in Easthampton. And as we know, that didn't pass. And I think what I hear from the other members of this group and other members of the community that I've spoken to is a desire for urgency that that we're not hearing from the voices in the city. You know, there are people on this call that worked on the Welcoming City ordinance that we eventually passed. Councilors Gomez and Conniff in particular, you know, joined in and helped. We're instrumental in putting the ordinance that eventually passed forward and helping to get that put into place. So I just wanted to say that sitting back and waiting for the state to pass something that might in the future at some point make local legislation a moot point is not really where we want to fall on the side of.
And sorry to interrupt, but I just want to be very, I'm disappointed in Easthampton, to be honest with you. There's been such a lack of transparency in a lot of situations. And I feel like the city council and the mayor are extremely dismissive, and it worries me. If we're asking you why the police officers are here and are they getting paid, and your answer is, that's none of your business, we don't have to answer that, that's a red flag for me. That worries me. So I want to work together to actually have some change, but today's meeting, it was not a good look for you guys. What little bit of hope I had was shattered by the fact that it took 11 police officers and dismissive behavior from the city council as well as the mayor.
But I also do think I think I actually was the one that made the comment that said we didn't have to answer that just because it was public speak time and that wasn't the appropriate time to talk about that. So I just want to clear that up. That was definitely me who said that comment, and it's just because I didn't think that was the appropriate.
But the answer, there's no answer for that question at all? You guys have answered other questions. I just don't understand why that question wasn't answered.
Well, I was just trying to move the meeting along because I wanted to make sure everyone's voice was heard.
Yeah.
And
I'm going to be honest, I don't believe you guys at all.
Well, I'm on the community relations.
Can I let someone speak here? I want to.
Excuse me. Hi, Jane. Hi, Jane. I just wanted to recognize that our agreement was that we would be answering question A from community relation members only.
Okay. All right. We'll stick to that. And I'm also not going to. We're already past our designated time, but I'm going to leave it open, and you guys have as long as you want to speak. And if any of the CRC members, and you are absolutely correct. It was specified that this question and answer is only between CRC members and the members of a kind group. So I do see that other people would like to chime in, and as much as I would hear that, that's not what we agreed on, and we will stick to what we agreed on. So I turn it back to you.
I think that this actually needs to be turned back to you. Are there any further questions from the CRC members?
Jane? For me personally, not at, oops, yeah, okay, let me show my face here, sorry. I was just trying to listen. I don't have any at this point. I've taken notes, I've listened to all of you, and I think I would like to really delve into it, and so that I can speak intelligently when I meet any of you. So we'll take this in. I could have a lot of questions, but I don't think right now I can put them all in a coherent form. There's a lot of things I would like to address. Mary Lou?
Jane, I don't know. Some of the slides I didn't get to see in the screen sharing, and the ones that were more of the requests, and I need like it in writing. I have a hard time comprehending and keeping in my head all of what was said. Is there a way that you can send? Can you send?
I will send that.
PowerPoint?
Yes, and I would also suggest visiting our website, and I'm sure someone from the group can message you our website.
Yeah, I believe.
Jason, can I ask you a
Yes.
question then? You do
Yes.
have a website. It's not just Facebook.
It is not just Facebook. There is a website.
Okay, I was not aware of that. And if I do, can you tell everybody what it is?
Let me get the actual tag in front of me.
Because I did do a search and it didn't come up. And
I'd like to say, everyone, I can change my name to the website link. So if people can see the participants, my name will still be there, but I will have in my name the link, because I don't have the option to share it in a chat. But I will change my name and it will have our bit.ly link, which is the shortened link. You go to that link and it'll come up. So just give me 1 second and I'll do that for everyone.
Is this Laura?
Okay, and what?
Yes, it is.
That was Laura, yes.
And while she's changing her name to the bit.ly link, you can also reach us via our our Gmail account if you have specific questions that can be read and answered to you specifically, which is neisnotenough@gmail.com.
Yes. And that goes to the public members, many of whom seem to be either Easthampton police officers or family of Easthampton police officers. Feel free to email us with your questions or concerns that can be addressed in a proper forum.
We want to remind everybody that this is us working together. We want our community to grow for the better, which is going to mean we're going to have to change some things. Business as usual is no longer going to be a thing. So with that being said, I actually have to log off. If you guys have any questions, feel free to email us or contact us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have actually, it's not so much a question, just more kind of operational. Our next meeting, how do we didn't really come up with a way to conduct the dialogue, our communication.
I'm going to get to that right now.
Okay.
I'm going to ask that, we asked this question before when we spoke for the first time about creating this citizens group. And you, Margaret, were the only one who ventured to say you want to participate and want to be part of that.
The mayor's work
yes.
Work
well, that's what it is. It's a work group consisting of us and members of the Akine group.
Okay. I would gladly be a part of that.
Okay.
Say that again?
I think two of us said we'd be happy to be part of that.
Okay, okay.
I think the mayor earlier tonight said that we should contact her through email to apply, I guess.
Apply, okay. So whoever...
let me just look at my notes for a second.
All right, I didn't catch that part.
She's soliciting applications for the work group, email mayor. And I'm thinking the work group is around her mayor's pledge, correct? That's what she talked about the last week or 2 weeks ago, was this mayor's pledge about not only basically assessing what needs to be done, but implementing what needs to be done. And it's a 4-part pledge, and that's why she wants this work group. So I guess, my next step was going to email the mayor and say I was interested. So hopefully other people who are will do the same.
Yes.
Can I just ask, I see Abby Goldberg is signed on. I've learned that she's a member of your committee. Abby, are you participating tonight? Are you here? Cool. You've just been silent, so I just wanted to see.
Yeah, and I'll just say this. When the work group was presented to us, it was not presented as being essentially vetted by the mayor's office. It was presented as being a partnership between the members of this committee and the members of our group. So with that said, I think we need to have some internal discussions.
To jump on that, that's how I understood it as well.
Jason, my understanding was your understanding, that this was a group of people from the CRC.
Yes.
And and a Knee Is Not Enough group that is not being vetted.
I didn't think so. I don't know.
Then I don't know why we're sending applications to the mayor's office.
Oh, well, I wasn't aware of that. This is news to me.
That is for if someone wants to become a member of the CRC. So if somebody in your group or more than one person in your group would like to become a member of the Community Relations Committee, that has to be a mayoral appointment, and that's the difference there.
Okay. I just wanted to make
sure. The mayor said there are people, there are vacancies, and we'd love to fill those vacancies with diverse people, and that would be great if we could get.
That's a good clarification, because my understanding, based on what the mayor had said, and then this idea of the work group and needing to apply through the mayor's office to the work group, I just want to make sure that's perfpperfectly clear. Is that
two separate items? Yes.
Okay.
It was not perfectly clear to me. I'm sorry if I'm confusing the issue, but what I said was what I wrote down, and when I was listening to her. Yes, there are openings for the CRC, but she was also talking about her work group and people letting her know that they wanted to be part of it. I don't think it's a fait accompli that we don't have to do anything to be part of it, because all of the people on the CRC don't want to be on the work group. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Some of us.
So how will the mayor know who wants to be part of it?
Well, my understanding was that we were going to make that happen ourselves, between communication between the CRC, with communication between the CRC and the Akine group.
Okay.
That was my understanding as well.
Okay. I'm sorry, I misunderstood then.
No, yeah, I think that one of our members will also reach out and just clarify, because So.
Yes, I believe there was some room for confusion there, because I also understood it in our initial meeting that way as well, Jason, and then this evening it seemed to be presented a different way. So I definitely think clarity is needed in terms of how we're supposed to be working together, and whom is identified and whom is self-identifying as working. I believe there was two people, Margaret and another person, but I failed to find my notes from the last meeting.
Do you think we could take an official roll call from the committee to see who wants to be part of this work group?
Okay. And while you guys handle this housekeeping, I do need to jump off as well. I apologize. Thank you very much for your time. And I will speak to the group later. Thank you very much.
Thank you. To Liz, to answer that, all of our members are not here, so I would want to give everyone a chance to respond to that. So the question has been sent out. Right now, we have two people that have affirmed that they want to be on that group. That's Rebecca Passa and Margaret Kirstein, sorry. And, I think this is going to be a process that it's just going to take some getting together. It can go through me, and I can set people up. I don't want to commit myself, because I know that in being the chair of this committee, there's enough going on. I may be able to make a couple of meetings, but I couldn't do it fully as much as I would want to right now. So, but we do have people that want to, and so now I will ask if there are any other questions from our committee to the Akine group.
Laura, I'm having trouble finding that website by what you put down. Nothing comes up with the bit-ly/Anea's.
Just make sure you put a dot between bit and Lee. bit.ly/a knee is not enough.
And Mary Lou, I can also email the link to Jane, and Jane can share it with the rest of you.
That would be great, Kay. I'm just
Anything that comes to me, I then disperse to all the committee members.
Okay, I'll send it, Jane, I'll send it to your Gmail address right now.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Kay.
Okay.
All right. Anything else before we wrap this up?
Can I say something?
Sure.
So again, another meeting where I feel like there was some disconnect between what is being said and what the actions are, even the actions tonight and this call. And there is a moment that we are all in right now in the history of our humanity. And I really mean that. And I'm asking all members of the CRC, as a community member, as a concerned community member, to please, like in your own time, like before you're going to sleep tonight, like in a quiet moment that you have, to really do some reflection of what is the potential of this group right now. We spent 20 minutes tonight discussing the idea of a good neighbor and hashtag good neighbor or great neighbor. And like, what does that mean? Let's put that conversation aside, like on a shelf. Like that's, whether we get to say that or not, has not yet been determined. Like, what does it mean to be a good neighbor today? What does it mean to create public speak and space for concerned community members to speak, and then to tell them they can't speak anymore? What happened tonight, I hope this is an education. Asking police officers to write their full names, that doesn't come from nowhere. That's not for nothing. This is real life. There are real reasons. There are generations of reasons for why that was asked tonight. And we are talking about systems. And I think it seems like a very common thing to not be able to separate individuals from the systems we're all a part of. We're all a part of racist systems. Racism is not over there. It is here. And I want each member of the CRC to hold that, to find some quiet time, seriously, for yourselves, to hold that and really contemplate that and contemplate the potential and the opportunity of this group in the city of Easthampton right now. Because until that happens, I am afraid this group will keep kicking a can down a road, and like it's not like there's a problem to solve and then you can begin the work. The work is here. We don't need to call in an expert because there are experts on this call with lifetimes of experiences that want to work together. And this group keeps putting things, it's like remove the barriers. You don't have to do anything. Remove what's in the way. That's our work. Let's remove what's in the way. It's all here. There's energy here. There's energy now. When was the last time this group had 50 people on a call? This is the good news. Listen, the listening, gets to happen now. Please do some reflection, because there's a dissonance. There's that what we're saying and what we're witnessing tonight on this call. And there is a really severe disconnect. And it is very present, and it is harmful. And it is going to continue to stand in the way of this work. Thank you.
Okay.
Can I just say something?
Sure, anybody can, I said we're leaving the time open.
So I'm a little uncertain about the disconnect that you're referring to, or I'm a little unclear about that, but I do just want to explain that listening to our conversations about a campaign that we started working on months and months and months ago, I don't think it's really fair to judge where we're at or what we're doing based on hearing a little teeny piece of a conversation of, you don't have the full story, the whole backstory of what our goals were, what our vision was, what we planned to do, what our program was prior to all of this. And so you're hearing kind of a tail end of conversations about that. And I just want to clarify that, we had things in the works before all of this happened. And so that's what we're following up on, is some of that material. But that doesn't mean that we're not tuned into what's happening today and what's going on in the world around us. It doesn't mean that we're oblivious. I just want to explain that by hopping into our meeting and our work in process.
It really feels like you're oblivious. You spent a very good long time talking about the logo you wanted to do for a group that doesn't deserve a logo right now. It really, really felt tonight like you were very oblivious.
Well,
that's not your decision to make, since you're not part of this committee. Would you like to join?
I said that I felt like you're oblivious.
Well, I'm not really sure that that's fair. Because
that's not fair.
Explain is that you don't know the context of our conversations. You're jumping into something that's been a long process. So, and there's definitely a need to redirect and refocus. Absolutely. We totally, I think, all would agree with that. But I'm just saying, please just be cautious in judgments when you are looking in at one speck of a piece of, a lot of history here that you're not aware of, or you're not paying attention, you don't know about. So
we had to put our
I'm going to let Rebecca speak. She's had her hand up for a bit. You need to unmute, Rebecca.
Thank you very much. Well, I felt encumbered because of, the process that we have this agenda. But I really, really appreciated, Pascalina, what you said about the opportunity, that if we could have an opportunity to hear the voices here, and that if we're looking for a community dialogue, if we're looking to schedule something, is this something that we can work to schedule together? Because certainly there are things you're asking government to do, but it also seems like the wider community, the kind of neighbor thing is, well, we also have an interest in pulling the wider community together. And I'm here, we've got at least the time for you to speak at this point, and I'm all ears. And certainly I regret any disconnect, but that's what I wanted to appreciate what you said about opportunities, and I do hope that we can, certainly take advantage of this and find ways to work together. That's what I would have to say. Thank you.
What I would like to add is that the CRC as a group has been in a very slow process of formation, having group cohesion. That's one. And two, we didn't meet at all for many, many months when the mayor asked when COVID hit, starting in March. We didn't meet March, April, May. I think June was our first meeting. So we've also been disconnected from each other. And while the whole world is boiling, we have not had communication with each other. And as a committee with the, as part of a committee in Easthampton, we are not allowed to talk with each other. We can't. I even made a comment about the stupid logo a month ago or 2 weeks ago. And it's like, no, you can't even say you like this one. So I feel like there is a disconnect because what you're observing is our group reconnecting with each other. And also being in a position of doing all of this on Zoom, having 50 people, which is fabulous, could not be better. But we didn't get together around a particular murder, and the whole country finally getting their act together to say enough. And I get the passion. I've got a lot of passion, but I also know that been not connected for months and months, and we can barely say hello to each other based on the open meeting law. So, May, I totally get there is a disconnect. And at our last meeting that you attended, we were like, "Hi, how are you? Gee, what's up?" You know, kind of waking up from a long sleep. So that's my experience. Thank you.
Sorry.
Nice.
I'm going to let Maya go ahead. And
Okay, it's Myra.
Pasqualina, you've had quite a lot of time tonight. Go ahead, Maya.
Yeah. It's Myra, and I just wanted to speak to the group. I'm sure you heard a lot of our passion and a lot of our commitment. And I think what Pasqualina mentioned is that we have the urgency. We also have a totality of talents amongst our group, which allows us not to be perhaps hindered in the same way that you are, that we can move quickly and form groups quickly and make actionable steps quickly and have conversations or attempt to have conversations quickly, which perhaps you're not able because you're bound by different structures. You're also bound, I guess, under the mayor's purview, which we are not. So we understand the differences in our group. And I don't.
Can I interrupt just for a second? Because that's a point that this committee is not under the mayor's purview. We were selected by the mayor, but we are independent, and we keep stating that. So we don't have to answer to the police or the mayor for what, you know, for the things that we discuss or what we deliberate. You know, we also don't have a lot of pull when it comes to making things happen. We can only suggest.
Yes, I've become aware of that. So I just wanted to say I do.
With all due respect, then you don't have to follow public meeting laws. Like, you don't have to adhere to citizen speak time. If this committee does not actually follow under...
Excuse me, you weren't recognized.
Thank you. I just wanted to finish my comment because I hadn't finished.
Still, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Myra, but we're still in this question and answer period where it's only between our members and you. So please, on the next one, I'm going to put this right on the agenda, and it can be a open whatever. But yeah, please finish, and then we're going to wrap it up.
So I think I lost my train of thought. So I just wanted to comment, you know, some of us, you know, it's an urgent matter. It's our lives, it's our families, it's our previous generations, it's the following generations. And so that urgency is for the better good, but it's also for thinking about our own families and the future to come of what changes we want to see. So that urgency is innate within us. And it takes a bit of courage for us to be able to speak in spaces like this, like I mentioned before. So I do thank you all for taking the positions, which I've heard was pretty uncomfortable for you as well. In our last meeting, we heard how several members were fearful of participating in this committee for fear of retribution and retaliation. So thank you for stepping up to do this work. We do hope to work in collaboration. So you do have public voices, that you do get diverse perspectives that are not necessarily part of your group. So thank you for your work. Thank you for your commitment to sit in these hour-long meetings, especially through Zoom. It's not easy. And so first, thank you for what you do. We find this work to be urgent, we find it to be critical, and we find the need for partnership. And that's all.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to, we're now past 8 o'clock. So I have no intention of this becoming a marathon city council meeting like the last one I witnessed. But thank you, a kind group. We did listen, no matter what you think of us. You know, we may seem out of touch to you. but this isn't my first rodeo. I've been marching since the 60s. So thank you. We will certainly take this all under advisement, and at the request of some of you, we will put something on the agenda that can be talked about, as Peg informed. I'll probably talk to her more about how that should be worded. And can anyone want to motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Anyone second?
I'll second.
Okay. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.